Yo, what is up guys, Ashley's Gaming back with another video. I'm back from my holiday and we are currently here on the beta server. So, look, during my holiday, I'm not gonna lie, I did have a look at all of the updates. And I'm quite hyped to actually try this stuff out, guys. So, what I'm planning to do over the next couple of days is I'm gonna do a video on each of the element builds on the Feca. Because I did try out the craw. I will probably make a video separately on the craw as well to try out some of the changes, but mainly it's about the Feca. Like, Feca is one of my favorite classes in the game, and honestly, the new changes are like super crazy, and I love it. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make different sections, and each section will be a different video. And this video will start out with the utility spells of the Feca. So I will go over these spells, show them in the combat, and then the next couple of videos will be a chance build, intelligence build, strength build, and agility build, and then perhaps maybe an omni build as well. So there's gonna be like 5 or 6 videos on the Feca alone. So it's probably gonna be daily uploads, but yeah, let's go into the Feca and go over the utility. So I'm not gonna go over the set here in this video. I will go over the sets in the next couple of videos where I'm going to be showcasing the elemental builds. But let's go over the spells, guys. So, first of all, the utility spells. We got Rampart and Fortification. Rampart, it is basically the same spell in AoE. I think they lowered the reduced damage a little bit. It's reduced damage by 12 for 2 turns. The variant is reduced damage by 16 for 3 turns. But this is targeted on a single ally. It used to be targeted only on the Feca itself, but now you can also cast it on an ally. But no AoE. So basically, if you're playing solo or perhaps duo, you might pick Fortification. But if you're playing with big teams, or for example Dreams, you are probably going to pick Rampart because you want to shield your entire team. Next utility spell is Barricade versus Pavis. Well, Barricade is still the close combat invulnerability. There are some new things to it, which I will show you guys in the combat as well, because you can now cast it on an empty cell and summon a Barricade, which is invulnerable. It's pretty interesting, and I will show you guys in the fight. And the variant is the Pavis. Also, some little changes, which I'm going to be showing you guys. It is a line of a cell, and yeah, it's a little bit hard to explain, but summons multiple Pavises, so not only one, but multiple invulnerable to range demons in an area of effect. These shields are destroyed on the next turn on a target. So you can also cast this on a target, which is super insane. I'm gonna be showing you guys. It's basically like the Panda bamboo spell, but yeah, summons multiple Pavises adjacent to the target that are destroyed on the next turn. This one is really cool. Which I'm gonna be showing you next. Next up, we got Bastion versus Truce. Now, Truce has been changed. It does not give the shields, basically the minus like 1,000 or 10,000 reduction. It is now going to place a glyph, and everyone inside the glyph will get the pacifist state. And if you combine this with, for example, the gravity glyph, it is really strong. Bastion, it is invulnerable to range damage, and it works the same as the Barricade spell. Then next up we got Greener Pastures, which is the teleport spell versus Aegis. Teleport spell teleports the caster and triggers their elemental glyphs. So if you teleport into a glyph, it will trigger the damage. And it can also cause the Shepherd's star state for 2 turns. Which gives, I think, the resistances from the glyphs to yourself. So that's also a thing. Feca now has a passive. If you end in a glyph, or if you are just in a glyph, you will get 25% resistances of that glyph. So if you end your turn in a intelligence, in a fire glyph, you get 25% fire resistances and so on. And they also stack, so if there's 2 glyphs that are on top of each other, you get the resistances in both of these elements. Aegis now works a little bit different as well. You can cast it on yourself. And basically, if it will place a glyph, if there's allies taking damage, then you are going to intercept the damage. But you can also just place it on an empty cell, which is probably still better to do so. And then it works a little bit like the old Aegis. But you can now push the Aegis, and the glyph will go with the Aegis. Before, the glyph would stay on the same same spot. But now it's gonna be able to push it. So that's really cool. So we got backup and ataraxia. Backup is still the same. I think it is, yes. And ataraxia is number of casts per turn per target, 1 max accumulation. You can now cast this 3 times a turn. I think it used to be 2, so this is a buff. Reduces by 25% on the next spell. Which is pretty cool. You can now cast it 3 times. Then we got Into the Fold, which is the gravity glyph. It is now nerfed in only 1 turn instead of 2. Which is kind of sad, but it does make sense. But that also opens the option to use Excursion glyph. Because before it was kind of a no-brainer to use gravity glyph. But now you can also use Excursion glyph to swap with allies. Which works really well with the summons that you can cast. Because if you cast a glyph on an empty cell... No, if you have the variant of the glyph, not the glyph, but the variant, and you can cast it on an empty cell, it will summon a summon, which you can then use Excursion glyph to swap with, which is really cool. Next up, we got Feca Shield and Reinforced Protection. Feca Shield reduces the damage by 30%. And you can also cast this on an ally. If you cast this on the ally will get the Shepherd Star state, meaning the ally, if it will go in a glyph, it will get the 25% bonus as well. Because normally the 25% bonus is only on the Feca and not on allies, unless you give them the Shepherd Star state. Reinforced Protection got buffed, and good thing it got buffed, because now it's really viable. If you cast this, you get a 400 power boost to all glyphs, and you will also trigger the glyph. So basically what this means is, let's say there's an enemy in a glyph, and you are on the other side of the map, you cast this on yourself, it will trigger the damage on the glyph, and on the enemy's turn, it will also take another stack of damage, which is really cool. There are some other elemental spells that I'm going to be showing during this fight, because they are kind of utility spells, but they do damage, of course. I'm not going to go over the set in this video, because it's not really important, but yeah, let's go over the Rampart spell. So we got Rampart, pretty simple. It gives a reduced damage by 12 for 2 turns. Very simple. We got Feca Shield. Feca Shield is... wait, actually, I'm going to move this one up so you guys can see. A little bit more up. Let's go. So, Feca Shield, 70% damage sustained. Very simple. We got... Let's go over the Teleport. Teleport is still the same, like this. Boom. But I will show you guys the glyph thing next. Backup, you can still cast this on an ally, which I'm going to be showing you guys if I choose the variant. So, look at this. So, Barricade, if you cast this on yourself, boom, melee invulnerability. But now I think these will stack. So, we got Bastion, cast this on yourself, range invulnerability, and they both stack, which is really cool. But I'm going to skip a couple of turns. Let's say you cast Barricade on an empty cell. Let's say I'm going to cast it here. It will summon a Barricade, and on the adjacent glyphs, if you go and end your turn there, you will get the invulnerability state, and the same goes for the other glyph. And if they also stack if they are on top of each other. If you cast this on an enemy, you can cast this on an enemy. So let's say I'm gonna cast this on the enemy. Boom. Nothing happens, which is a little bit weird, but okay. So that is for the range and CC and vulnerability. Next up we got Excursion Glyph, but I can't show you guys because I don't have any summons on me right now. But basically, if you put a summon out, for example, the Pavis or one of the Glyphs variants, you can just swap with it, which is really cool. Then I'm gonna show you guys a couple of elemental spells that are really good for some utility. So first up we got Silbo, which is a 3 AP spell, and it pushes outwards. It works a little bit like Blow from the eye up, except it will do damage. So look at this, you can cast this behind the enemy, next to the enemy. I think you can even, I don't know if it pushes yourself. I think it only pushes the enemy, so it doesn't push yourself back. But this is really cool. You can move the enemy around for only 3 AP. Next up, we got Maneuver, and this one is 4 AP, 1 to 4 range. It is a spell that can swap with the enemies and deal pretty good damage as well for 4 AP. Next up, we get Getaway, 3 AP spell, 1 to 8 modifiable range. It is linear. You can only cast this once per target, twice per turn. It retreats 3 cells, so you can cast this in close combat to get away from the enemy. But you can also cast this at a range to just get away by 3 cells, which I think is really, really cool. And if you're like cornered, let's say you're cornered and you're gonna do Maneuver to swap with the enemy and then push yourself back. And then you can run away to the other side of the map, basically, which is really nice. Next up, we have a strength spell, which is Gather the Flock. 4 AP. This used to be Dazzling, I think. Dazzling, but they increased the range by 1. It used to be 2 range, now it's 3 range. And it pulls the enemies close to you. So it's more for a CC build. Next up, we got Cowbell, which used to be Lateral Flame. It pulls the enemy to the center of the spell, basically. Next up, we got Shepherd's Crook, which used to be Natural Attraction. 3 AP intelligence spell. It now attracts 3 cells instead of 2, which is a lot stronger. It pulls 3 cells, which is crazy in my opinion. But yeah, nice spell. And Torpor. This one used to reduce the dodge by the enemies. It doesn't anymore. But it does now pull, and it has way much more range. So if you're playing a strength build, which we're gonna do in future video, you can now pull the enemy. Look at the range on this. It works a little bit like one of the Heliotrope spells, I think. But look at this, you can pull, and I think you can cast this twice. So let's say the enemy is 4 cells away, you can just cast this twice, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Next up, we got the glyphs. And I'm gonna be going over the glyphs in the elemental builds, but I'm gonna be showing you guys the teleport spell. So let's say there's a glyph out, and I'm gonna teleport. It will activate the glyph, which is the same as before. But what you can, for example, now do is, let's say I'm gonna place the glyph on myself, like here. I don't have more MP. I can swap with the enemy to just put it in the glyph, and it will take damage. I'm gonna be showing you guys some of the variants. Fortification speaks for itself, but sure, I'm gonna go over it. Pavis. We got Truce. We got Aegis. The variant of Shepherd's Crook is Shiver, which now pulls 2 cells instead of 1, which is also pretty cool. Also, this used to be Tension. It is now 4 AP, which is nice in my opinion. But Ataraxia, we got this one. I'm actually gonna... The Gravity Glyph speaks for itself. I'm not gonna show you. I want to show you the Excursion in action and Reinforced Protection. So let's start a fight again. So yeah, we got Fortification. Look, it is linear, but you can cast it on an ally now or on yourself if you're playing solo. So pretty cool. Now we have 2 summons here. We got the Aegis and the Pavis. Now let's say I cast the Pavis on the ground. Let's say in front of me. It will basically put out a wall. They are not invulnerable. You can do damage on them, but they have 630 HP, 25% overall resistance. And you can swap with them, for example, with Maneuver. But you can also do Excursion a Glyph on them. And it will swap with the summon. It's really nice. Also, Ataraxia. Look at the range of Ataraxia. It used to be like, I think, 3 range or 2 range. I think 3 range. It is now 6 range. And it is modifiable range, actually. The set I have now only has 2 range. So this spell is buffed quite a bit. And it's really nice. I want to show you guys the Pavis. If you cast this on the enemy, look at this. Look at what's going to happen here. Boom. It will put them around the enemy. And if the enemy, for example, is in the gravity state as well. So if you're not playing Excursion, but you're going to play Gravity Glyph. It is forced to kill them because it can't jump out, right? Really, really nice. You can also cast this on yourself, I think. And, oh no, you can't. Okay, so only cast it on an enemy. Next up, we got Truce. So look at this. Truce will place a glyph. You can only cast this on yourself, and the glyph is only 2 range. And boom. If everyone inside the glyph is pacifist state, if I just move out right now, I will lose it. But this one is really nice in combination with, for example, this. And then if you're doing PvP, of course, in PvM, you're not going to be using this too often. But if I now would just put the gravity glyph out, the enemy can't jump out. And then you can also like put an Aegis behind you. And the Aegis will just do the exact same thing. It will intercept the damage that you take. Let's say I swap with this as well. Look, the enemy is fully locked right here. And I can go out of the glyph and lose the pacifist state, for example. Alright, like I mentioned, you can actually push. I don't have push spells, I think, right? I do. You can move the Aegis, and the glyph will go with it. Look, it's very, very, very nice. You can also push them, boom, like this. I think that's about it for the spells. Aegis, you can also cast this on an enemy. I don't exactly know if the enemy will take the damage to intercept. I don't think so. I think if you do it on the enemy, you wasted your spell. But if you cast this on yourself, for example, and now it doesn't show up. But if let's say I get hit, let's say there's an other ally in here, and the ally gets hit, then I myself will get hit, basically, which is really cool. Ataraxia will still cast the gravity state. So this basically means that I can't use maneuver. So keep in mind, if you're Ataraxia, you can't use maneuver, which could be a thing. So let's say I'm next to the enemy, right? I put Pavis down. Pavis has 6 range. Then I cast Excursion Glyph. I swap with it. And boom, I can run away. And if you're playing with backup, you can even cast another summon. Or, let's wait. Well, you can play around with multiple summons and, yeah. See whatever you like the most. Alright, I think that's about it. We went over all of the spells. So, for example, if you play Barricade, I think, let's play with Barricade for a moment. If you play Barricade, you can use it from a big range. So let's say I'm gonna put, let's say I'm here. I'm gonna put Barricade out here. Excursion Glyph, you can swap with it as well. Look, boom, and then you can... There's so much placement you can do with all of these spells. So let's actually do one more thing, and then I'm gonna be ending the video. Let's say I'm gonna do Barricade because it has more range than Pavis. And then we're gonna do Bastion. We're gonna do Teleport because Aegis only has 4 range, so I'd rather have Teleport. And then we're gonna use Backup instead of Ataraxia. And Excursion, and yeah, that's about it, I think. And let's say we go in a fight. Actually, I want to show you guys the reinforced protection real quick. So let's say there's a glyph. You put out a glyph. Let's say I am all the way here. And my teleport is off cooldown. You can cast the reinforced protection. It will trigger the glyph. Does damage. And you will get the power. And if you pass your turn, it will do another damage. And let's say the next turn, because I still have the damage, right? I put another glyph down. And I can teleport into the glyphs. Boom. Double the damage. And if you pass, again, damage. Look at the damage. 1000 on one single glyph. That's insane. But now, let's say I am in this corner right here. And the enemy is next to me, right? I want to get out of this, right? So I will put out... I put the Bastion. And I back up to the Bastion, right? Then I can put the Barricade. Need to check out because Excursion Glyph has limited range. Swap with this. And I still have Teleport. And I still have 6 MP. I just moved from this corner to this corner without using any of my MP. Which is pretty insane, right? So that's about it for the utility of the Feca. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and comment below what you think of the Feca. Stay tuned for my next couple of videos, which will be the elemental builds. And I'll see you guys next video. Take care. Bye.